being one of the highest grossing franchises ever, it's no surprise Yu-Gi-Oh! Has managed to put out a couple video games. Wow, that list just keeps going. And that amongst the dozens of Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games, at least one would be beloved. In this case, Forbidden Memories. But what is surprising is how a game can be critically panned, yet loved by its fans. How can a game have a 57 critic score, but an 84 user score? That's a much higher number, what the hell? So I played through the game myself to understand, and I can now go through and either confirm or deny all the reasons you might be thinking of. Starting with the obvious, is it just nostalgia? Yes. Asterisk. It's important to understand the context in which Forbidden Memories released. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime began airing in the US in September of 2001, the most monumental thing to happen that month in the US. Could have been worse. They could have chosen to air the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime in which the protagonist straight up kills people. That probably wouldn't have helped the mood at the time, and may not have led Yu-Gi-Oh! To becoming one of the most profitable franchises of all time due to the smash hit success of the anime, which led to the smash hit success of the trading card game. At that point, a localized video game was inevitable, releasing in March of 2002, just 6 months after the anime first aired. It wasn't the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game, that honour goes to Monster Capsule Breed and Battle, but it was one of only 2 available outside of Japan at the time, so of course it would sell 1 million copies. Was it a good game? No. Asterisk. The critics were right. The story is underwhelming even if you know the characters from the anime, there's no tutorial despite having different rules from the official card game, and the game is too hard whilst also being too simple because the only strategy is just have the biggest guy on the field. Frankly, it's generous of the critics to rate it as high as they did. These Metacritic user scores are just nostalgia-blinded fans who probably haven't gone back and played it to understand it's not as good as they remember. Yes, it has an 84 user score, but that's just 121 people today. Thanks to the Internet Archive, we can go back to the GameSpot review from 2003 and see that after 1,594 ratings, the users there gave it an average score of 82? That can't be right. Hang on. Let's have a look at one of these Metacritic user reviews. I played this game as a child in elementary school and beat it. Okay, I'll explain why that's ridiculous later on. I recall dueling the Meadow Mage hundreds of times, and that's not an exaggeration. While the game was difficult, I understood it and played it well as a small child. Still a game I adore as an adult. That's from Skinny Skippers in July 2025, who gave it a 10 out of 10. They say they still adore it as an adult. Probably because it turns out this frustrating mess of a game is kinda great in the way only a frustrating mess can be. And the only way to show that is to go through my experience playing the game. It's only 14 hours long according to How Long to Beat, so shouldn't be too bad. So let's start from the beginning. We're a pharaoh in the before times of ancient Egypt, but it's an alternate version of ancient Egypt where they have access to high quality printed cards, somehow. And most people are white, except your mentor who is blue and has the very Egyptian name of Simon. We have our first duel with him, and it's an easy one you're clearly meant to win. For those unfamiliar, here's a brief overview of the rules of Duel Monsters. 2 players start with 8,000 life points and draw from decks of cards containing monster, magic and trap cards. Each player takes turn playing said cards to control a playing field and reduce their opponent's life points to 0. Typically, this is done by attacking your opponent directly with monster cards, but trap and magic cards can inflict this damage too. So I go to play a monster card, at which point I encounter the somewhat confusing choice between Moon and Pluto. Moon? Turns out Forbidden Memories has some unique rules compared to the official card game, one of which is the Guardian Star system. Each monster card has a choice of 2 alignments. Choosing the alignment is important because cards with a superior alignment to another will gain 500 attack points when attacking an inferior alignment monster, or gain 500 defense points when attacked by one. The manual gives us this chart to figure out which alignments are superior or inferior to others. Do not bother pausing to see if this is at all intuitive. It is not. Thankfully, most alignment matchups are neutral, so do nothing. But the times it matters can either win or lose you the game, so it can't be ignored entirely. Important and mostly irrelevant. What a frustrating mess. Beating our mentor lets us move on to meet up with Tiana and Jono. Those familiar with the anime will recognise this blatant fanservice as alternate ancient Egyptian versions of Joey and Taya. The story in general is fanservice galore, which I'm gonna say is a big factor in why this game is beloved. The show had a dark Egyptian curse vibe to it, and the game emulates it well. It even has a full story with an ending at a time when the anime was years from ending. Not that most people will have seen it, because beating this game without a modern day guide is insanity, but we'll get to that. We duel Tiana and Jono, and they're easy pickings, but my confidence in this being an easy game comes to an end when I duel an NPC who somehow combines 2 cards into a more powerful one. I couldn't figure out how to do the same in time and lost. And let me tell you, as someone who considers themselves quite good at roguelike deck builders, beat Jokerless in Balatro and Ascension 20 in Slay the Spire, it was quite humbling to get my ass handed to me by Villager 1. So, what's this combo summoning system all about? It's fairly simple. You can choose to play multiple cards at the same time, and if they can combine, you'll summon a more powerful card instead. Oh! Bean Soldier. If they can't combine, it will fail, and you'll simply play the last card in the chain. On its surface, this combo system is great. It's a unique summoning mechanic exclusive to this version of Duel Monsters, and with the sheer number of combinations that can occur is also the kind of mechanic that could only exist in a digital version of the game. On top of that, it also synergizes with other mechanics unique to Forbidden Memories. You can only draw cards at the start of your turn, you always draw until you have 5 cards in hand, and you can only play cards once per turn. So if you have no decent cards in hand, you can purposefully dump your hand with a failed combo to max out the cards you'll draw next turn. It all works together to provide a surprising amount of depth. So what's the catch? Well, some of these combinations are intuitive to the point you could predict the outcome. Combine a zombie and a warrior, zombie warrior. Simple. Others are a bit esoteric. A fairy and a rock makes mystical sand. That's interesting at least, and if anything got me excited at the possibilities within this system. A rock and a fairy gave me a rock fairy mystical sand. Okay. Alright, I might be picking up what this is putting down now. However, then you get things like a beast and a machine making a flame Cerberus. Beast machine made pyro. Whatever. No clear line of logic and something you could only figure out through trial and error. So deciding this can't be the way to figure out how combos work, I read through the manual and found out that it says to just figure it out through trial and error. The best way to find what combinations work best is to try them out. Now, you might think me jimming the camera there is a bit much since it's a simple enough concept, but keep in mind, there are 722 cards in Forbidden Memories and no way to know which cards combo with which. Even if we assume the average player is going to only have access to about 200 cards in a playthrough, that's still thousands of potential combos to trial and error. But with this knowledge in mind, I moved on to the next duel against Seto Kaiba and got my ass handed to me. See, despite knowing how the combo system works, it doesn't change the fact that your starting deck is made from a random assortment of weak cards, whereas the NPCs have increasingly powerful decks that allow them to combo into increasingly powerful monsters you won't be able to beat. To overcome this limitation, you must grind for new cards by defeating opponents in the free duel mode. Every time you beat a new NPC, they become available to free duel, and when you beat them, you get a new card. Just the one. And it's usually mediocre because the weaker NPCs generally give weaker cards, but to free duel the stronger NPCs to get the stronger cards you need to beat them first, which means grinding the weaker NPCs first, and at this point you might be starting to see the push and pull of how Forbidden Memories can be somehow both a terrible yet beloved game. So is this all the game's going to be? Just me free dueling this easy to beat guy until I get better cards? That can't be it. Surely. Spoiler, it is. I basically summed up 90% of the time spent on this game. So I spent 2 hours doing 42 free duels to get some better cards, during which I found a bunch of new combos to help me get past Kaiba. This triggers the local Jafar knockoff Haitian to enact his plan to overthrow me by beating me in a children's card game and taking my Millennium Puzzle. This is a meant to lose fight after which your mentor saves you by smashing the Millennium Puzzle, which traps you and your mentor in the puzzle for thousands of years. Cut to the before times of 1999, and a young boy called Yugi has the Millennium Puzzle and is competing in a Duel Monsters tournament. Our first opponent is Rex Raptor, who we beat easily thanks to our previous grinding. Our deck from ancient Egypt somehow transferring to the modern day. Our second opponent is Weevil Underwood, who combos into a twin-headed Thunder Dragon, a card I will be trying to combo into as much as possible now that I know about it, but for now, I have no way to beat it, so get my ass handed to me. Back to the free duel mines. 90 minutes and 23 Rex Raptor wins later, I take on Weevil again for an easy win. Next we face My Valentine, get our ass handed to us. Back to the free duel mines. 2 hours and another 32 Rex Raptor wins later, we get some more dragons to help me make more twin-headed thunder dragons, because why combo into anything else when twin-headed has 2800 attack? But we also now have enough star chips to buy some specific cards. Every time you beat an NPC, you get up to 5 star chips which can be used to buy specific cards, so long as you know the passwords for them. The passwords can only be found on the IRL cards, or if you look them up online like me and most people who play this game nowadays. This is actually kind of amazing. It's the Toys to Life concept years before it became popular. Kids probably loved it back in the day. Imagine you were a kid and you had a Blue Eyes White Dragon, bought Forbidden Memories, and found out you could import it into the game, and all it will cost you is 1 million star chips. You fool. You absolute buffoon. Did you forget the push and pull? Yeah, you can get your amazing IRL cards in-game, if you're willing to grind free duels for approximately 2 years per card. Otherwise you'll settle for the cheap Dragon and Thunder cards that can combo into twin-headed Thunder Dragon, which to be fair is all you need. For now. At this point we're set up enough to start steamrolling through the rest of the tournament, which consists of a carousel of characters from the early seasons of the anime. There's even an early version of Ishizu before she was introduced in the anime and renamed because of the unfortunate implications of being called Isis in this game. Turns out there's a total of 7 Millennium items alongside our puzzle, the holders of which are participating in the tournament. Each time we beat them, we turn their Millennium item into a card, which the fairer in the puzzle is able to be given somehow. And by using them, he's able to open a portal back to his time, and so we return to the before times of ancient Egypt and find everything looking even more ancient because of Heishin's meddling. We go to some forbidden ruins to find out Heishin is planning to use a spell to bring back a wizard who will help him solidify his rule, so we need to go to some shrines and beat up some mages to take their Millennium items and stop all this nonsense. Thrilling stuff. Most of the shrines were easy enough, but I got stuck on the High Meadow Mage, which meant more grinding. So I sat down and put on Sean's 4-hour The War on Science video and got to it. But after a couple of hours, I wasn't getting many good drops, and found a guide saying to grind Meadow Mage in particular, since he has some of the best drops in the game. This guide also said to keep grinding until you get, amongst other cards, 3 Meteor Black Dragons. So I sat down and put on Jenny Nicholson's 4-hour Star Wars Hotel video and was grinding away for an hour without getting any good drops. So I looked up the drop rates on these cards, and Meteor Black Dragon has a 0.98% chance of dropping. If you get an S rank, and you'll need 3 of them, 14 hours on How Long to Beat? Now, you might think all this is enough to make someone stop playing altogether, and you'd be right. I'm going to stop recording there and probably stop playing this game. Look, I get it. Talking authoritatively about a game I didn't finish can seem inauthentic. Who am I to say this is a bad game just because I saw a grind of unknown length before me? A grind I only knew to do after looking up where to do said grind and decided no game could possibly be good with that kind of requirement. Oh, come on. But all the same, this is where I stopped playing. Unenhanced. No, I didn't start injecting the heart of the cards, but at risk of going to jail for the crime of maybe using legally grey means of playing a 26-year-old game that isn't on sale anymore, I will admit that I was playing this on an emulator, which means I can speed up the game and use save states to restart when I don't get an opening hand good enough to likely get an S rank, which actually is as close as you can get to injecting the heart of the cards. Is this still a good faith attempt at playing the game? Yes. Because I can say in good faith I would have stopped here if I didn't use save states. Do you want to know how long it took me to get the cards needed for the final gauntlet I knew was coming? 5 hours! Whilst using save states and turbo. And I got pretty lucky with the drops. And I only got 1 Meteor Black Dragon because, to be honest, that was kind of wrong. Like, even with the extra time it would take to beat the final gauntlet with only 1 Meteor Black Dragon, it's still less than the time it would take to grind for 3 of them, but still. I'd been playing this game for 18 hours at this point. How does it say 14 hours on How Long to Beat? Well, because the people who submitted those times are liars. If you were to beat Forbidden Memories in 14 hours, you could submit that run to speedrun.com and claim the 133rd spot in the world. How Long to Beat also says 36 hours for a completionist run, when the world record speedrun for 100% is 67 hours. I am not trying to denigrate the good name of How Long to Beat, but I will say this was a personal betrayal I will never forgive nor forget. And so, having gathered enough OP cards, I can defeat the High Meadow Mage and move on to the final gauntlet. The final gauntlet consists of 7 NPCs you must defeat back to back, whose decks are full of powerful cards. And when I say that, you might think I mean they can combo into powerful cards. But no, the first NPC can, and will, play Gate Guardian. Raw. No combo. 3,750 attack. And they can play multiple. But wait, you might say, how can they summon such a powerful creature without comboing or tribute summoning? Oh, did I not mention there's no tribute summoning in this game? See, those of you familiar with the official card game will probably recognise the combo summoning system as an interesting combination of tribute summoning and fusion summoning. To fusion summon, you play Polymerization and send 2 or more monster cards in your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard to summon a more powerful card from your extra deck. To tribute summon, you send 1 or 2 monsters from your side of the field to the graveyard to summon a more powerful card from your hand. The more powerful the monster, the more sacrifices required, denoted by the number of stars on the card. 4 stars or less require no sacrifices, 5 or 6 stars require 1, 7 stars or more require 2. This prevents players from being able to summon powerful monsters straight from their hand and make the game all about who can draw and play their biggest monster first, and instead about finding combinations of cards that will allow them to summon their powerful monsters. So why did the developers of Forbidden Memories go out of their way to formulate this combo system if they were then also going to remove any restrictions on the power of the monsters you can just play from your hand? A unique, handcrafted combo summoning system almost completely negated. The old push and pull once again. The highest attack monster available to a player is Meteor Black Dragon at 3500. To beat Gate Guardian, my options were to combo a Dragon Treasure, one of the cards I had to grind for earlier, onto Meteor Black Dragon to raise its attack to 4000, or combo into a Twin-Headed at 2800 attack, combo Dragon Treasure onto it as well to get to 3300 attack, and play an Umi field card on a separate turn that gives Thunder monsters an extra 500 attack, pushing Twin-Headed to 3800. Ho ho ho! You might think this is a bit of an absurd ask. How did anyone beat this as a kid? Skinny skippers, yeah that's right, I didn't forget about you. What did you know as a child? What kind of savant could beat this game without already knowing the specifics of which NPCs to grind for cards? Do not answer in the comments about how you did it as a child. You don't exist. I refuse to believe it. Especially since if you think beating Gate Guardian was bad, meet Seto Kaiba. Again. Except this time he can and will play multiple Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons. Raw, no combo, an absurd 4500 attack monster, a full 1000 attack points higher than Meteor Black Dragon. This is why even with save states and turbo, it took me 2 hours to beat the full gauntlet. To beat Kaiba, I had to play Meteor Black Dragon with 2 Dragon Treasures just to tie the 2 Ultimate Dragons he had on the field. Even though he could have won, the NPC AI wouldn't go for the kill since it would mean sacrificing a monster, which is the only reason I had enough time to find my 3rd Dragon Treasure. And here, right here, is where I finally understood why this game is beloved. It took hours upon hours of grinding, but man, being able to take my 5000 attack Meteor Black Dragon and sweep through a Gate Guardian and 2 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons was one of my most satisfying experiences in gaming. I'd have been happy enough if the game ended then and there, but Seto's actually only the 5th NPC in the gauntlet. Heishin comes along and threatens to kill Seto, but never does despite my insistence. Come, hand over the items and I'll spare this fool. No, kill him. No, kill him. Kill Kaiba! I don't. He betrayed me several times. Why don't we give the option? He then summons the powerful wizard, Nightmare, who's meant to help Heishin rule the world, but instead turns him into a playing card and burns him, which I personally found rather amusing. Oh, get wrecked. Oops. I love this guy. Then, rather than ruling the world, Nightmare agrees to duel us in a children's card game. When we beat him, he decides no we didn't, and we fight him again. And once we beat him a second time, the gauntlet is over. We have won. And Nightmare screams, "No!" for 2 screens, which I personally found rather amusing. No! Alright, fair enough, you got me, that was funny. and to be sure he can't return, the pharaoh has the forbidden runes buried, never to be found again. Apparently. Problem solved. Don't think too hard about it. So, having felt the satisfaction of overcoming the final gauntlet and ending the game on a high note, would I recommend playing Forbidden Memories? No! Of course not. There are so many things going against this game. It doesn't follow the rules of the card game despite the card game already having established rules. It doesn't follow the rules of the anime because the anime doesn't follow any rules. The rules it actually follows aren't even slightly intuitive. Its potentially amazing, unique combo summoning system is negated by removing tribute summoning. The NPCs have way better cards than you, and it requires massive amounts of grinding to overcome this, and even when you do the grind, it's still an RNG fest from start to finish. So why do people like it? Because every flaw I just mentioned can be considered a feature. It doesn't follow the rules like the anime, which is charming to people who like the nonsense of the early seasons. Not following the official rules makes it a unique experience. Plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game simulations have been released since. You can go play the official card game virtually now with little hassle, but you can't play Forbidden Memories rules anywhere else. The unintuitive rules and lack of explanation for the combo system add to the mystery and depth of the game. The unfair difficulty provides a challenge to overcome, and some people just like grinding. I don't understand them, but the allure of the slot machine is well established. I say 1% drop rate, are you serious? That's awful. Others say 1% drop rate, are you serious? That's amazing. Hook me up to the slot machine and get spinning. The story is pretty basic but full of fan service, so critics won't get it but fans will love it. I jokingly referred to how the fate of the world is being determined by a children's card game, but that's a well-known joke fans of the anime make. At least fans of the original anime. I don't know what fans of whatever this is think about it. Overall, it's a charming but flawed game. Critics notice the flaws, players can either forgive them or don't consider them flaws. And that's looking at it from the perspective of when it first came out. The modern appeal comes from both the nostalgia for the game, but also the access to information on how the game works available today. There are mods to increase drop rates so you can get 15 times as many cards. You can look up the drop rates and find out which cards combo into what. You can challenge yourself to a mono type run like Pokemon Nuzlockers do, and as the YouTuber Jono has been doing. Whether you should or it would be enjoyable is a whole other question, but Meteor Black Dragon plus Dragon Treasure isn't the only viable strategy when you have a great enough understanding of how the game works. I didn't even mention that ritual cards are in this game, though for most players it doesn't matter because you have to combo at least 2 cards to get ritual cards, and then rituals require 3 sacrifices, so you're using 5 cards to summon a creature with less attack than twin-headed, which is much easier to get cards for and only requires 2 or 3 cards to summon, and oh look, I'm getting annoyed once again at them ruining their own combo system. With a full understanding of the mechanics and mods to fix the more unappealing aspects of the game, it has a fair amount of modern appeal. Does it appeal to me? No, but at least I do now understand why this terrible, unique game is beloved. And the soundtrack's pretty banging too. God, this would be a lot easier if it could be sped up. Alright. Okay. Machine warrior.